Have you ever stopped to think about what it takes to run an airport? It turns out it's a lot like being the mayor of a tiny, really fast-moving city. It's this whole world of complex systems and hidden rules, all working on a scale that's kind of hard to wrap your head around. So let's dive in. I mean, really think about it for a second. An airport has its own road network, its own police and fire departments, and a daily population bigger than most small towns. And at the head of it all is the airport manager, who's basically the mayor. And honestly, once you start seeing it that way, everything else just clicks into place. And just like any city, an airport has its own distinct districts. First, you've got the air side. This is the secure area, the world of aircraft, the runways, the taxiways, all the places you and I don't get to go. And then there's the land side, which is the public part of the city, the terminals, the parking garages, the drop-off roads. The entire challenge, the whole job, is making sure these two very different worlds operate in perfect sync.
Okay, so if these are all tiny cities, just how many of them are there? Let's zoom out for a second and get a sense of the scale, both around the world and right here in the US.
Globally, we're talking about roughly 42,000 civil airports. That is a massive network of interconnected hubs. And what's really fascinating is that no two are exactly alike. Each one is totally unique, shaped by the planes that fly there, the people who use it, and even the local environment. But here's where the numbers get really wild. Of those 42,000 airports across the entire planet, the United States is home to over 19,000 of them. Just think about that for a moment. Nearly half of the world's entire aviation infrastructure is located in just one country. That's staggering. Now, I know what you're thinking. When we hear airport, we picture these massive international hubs like JFK or O'Hare, but that's a huge misconception. The reality is, the vast majority of these 19,000 facilities are smaller general aviation airports, or GA for short. These are the absolute workhorses of the system. They support everything from flight schools and medical flights to private travel. They're the true backbone of American aviation. All right, so if an airport is a city, it begs the question, who's the mayor? Who's in charge and who makes the rules? Let's unpack the layers of management from the local city hall all the way to the top. Down at the local level, there's actually no single answer. It's kind of all over the place. An airport might just be another department of the city or county government. In other places, you've got a special port authority that runs the airport, and maybe the seaport too. And then you have unique cases like Hawaii, where the state government runs all the airports. It's a real patchwork of different setups. But here's the thing. No matter who's running the show locally, everybody answers to a very clear federal hierarchy. It all starts at the top with the Department of Transportation, or DOT. Sitting under the DOT is the agency everyone's heard of, the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration. They handle safety, air traffic, all the big stuff. And within the FAA, you have the Office of Airports, which finally brings us to the crucial last link in the chain. And that crucial link is the airport's district office, the ADO. The best way to think about an ADO is like the FAA's local embassy. For an airport manager, the ADO is their direct hotline to the federal government. They're the ones you call for everything, from making sure you're following the rules to getting help with planning a new runway. They are the key point of contact. Okay, with thousands of these airport cities all over the country, how in the world does the government keep them all organized and decide who gets funding? Well, they use what is basically a national zoning plan for airports. So, out of those 19,000 plus facilities, the federal government has identified 3,332 airports that are considered nationally significant. But how do you manage and fund a list that long? The answer is a master plan called the NPIS. And this is it, the National Plan of Integrated Airport Systems, or NPIAS. Now, don't let the long names scare you. Its main job is simple: to sort all of these important airports into different categories. And the reason that's so important is that an airport's category is the key to unlocking federal money for big improvement projects. The first major category is for primary airports, and it all boils down to one magic number: 10,000. If your airport has at least 10,000 enplanements, which is just a fancy word for passengers boarding a plane, in a year, then congratulations, you get that primary designation. And that is a huge deal for getting federal funds. This chart really puts it all into perspective, doesn't it? Look at that. Of all the airports in the national plan, only a tiny fraction are actually those primary airports. The vast majority, 77%, are in the general aviation category. It just drives home the point that the entire system is built on this foundation of smaller but absolutely vital local airports.
So, we've covered the structure, but just like any modern city, the airport is going through a massive tech revolution. So let's take a quick look at what's building the airport city of tomorrow. One of the biggest upgrades happening as we speak is called Next Gen. Think of it like this. It's like upgrading an entire city's traffic grid from old-fashioned stoplights to a smart satellite-based GPS system. It lets air traffic controllers manage planes with incredible precision, which helps prevent bottlenecks and makes the whole system way safer and more efficient.
And then you have this idea of smart airports. This is where the whole city analogy gets really futuristic. It's about using the Internet of Things to put sensors on basically everything, from baggage cards to the runway itself. All that data gives managers a real-time health check on the entire airport. They can predict when something needs maintenance before it even breaks, making the whole operation run smoother for all of us.
So the next time you're at an airport rushing to catch a flight, just take a moment to look around. You're not just standing in a building. You're standing in a complex, high-tech, and incredibly regulated city that's constantly on the move. So the real question is, will you ever see it the same way again?